Hello and welcome to the Ways of Math. I'm your host, Dan the Math Man. Today we're going to bring you another video in this series on the introduction to sets. Please subscribe to our channel if you like this video and also to be notified of future videos. In this video we're going to continue our series on sets, and this particular one is going to be dealing with the applications of sets. So finally, after all of our descriptions and our kind of abstract concepts of what we're doing these sets on, we finally get to see these sets in action for applications. So this is part one. There's going to be two videos on the applications, okay, which are centered just around examples. This first one will be dealing with two-set examples. So in this video, we're going to do an example of solving a set-related question that involves two sets. Okay. So here we have a word problem. A local coffee shop owner wants to add a new flavor of coffee and decides to give samples to her customers and have them fill out surveys on what they thought. She gave each customer two samples to try, the Carpe Diem roast and the midnight roast. And here are the results of the survey. A total of 257 customers answered the survey. Of those customers, 142 said they liked the Carpe Diem roast, 163 said they liked the midnight roast, and 75 said they liked both roasts. Okay? So we want to construct an appropriate Venn diagram for the situation and then use it to answer the following questions. Question 1 is, of the customers surveyed, how many did not like either of the two roasts? Question 2 is, how many liked the Carpe Diem roast but not the midnight roast? So which ones liked the Carpe Diem roast but not the midnight roast? Question 3, how many liked the midnight roast but not the Carpe Diem roast? And question 4, how many liked either of the two roasts? Okay, so let's begin with our construction. Okay, so again, I have my information about my survey right up here. And so, like we've done previously, we start with the center, the most intersecting regions, so the ones with the most overlapping regions, and kind of work our way outward. Right? We described this in a previous video. So if you missed that, please be sure to check it out. Okay? But so that means for two sets, that means the innermost is going to be region 2 here. And so this one, notice all we care about are not the specific elements. We don't care about the individual customers, like names or their responses. We care about just the total number of responses. Okay? Because they're all customers. They're all the same element, essentially. But we want to know how many of them are contained within each set. Because there was, only these answers to the survey, whether they liked this roast, whether they liked that roast, or whether they liked both roasts. Okay? All right, so we're given region 2. So we're given, remember, region 2 here is the intersection of the two sets. So which are the customers that like both the Carpe Diem roast and the midnight roast? And so we're actually given that in our example. So 75 like both roasts. So that's the cardinality of region 2 here. Okay? Now working outward, we now want to determine region 1. So region 1 corresponds to the customers that like the Carpe Diem roast but didn't like the midnight roast. Now, we know that 142 of the customers said they liked the Carpe Diem roast. It didn't specify whether they liked only the Carpe Diem roast. They just checked that they liked a Carpe Diem roast. Okay, so this is the cardinality of all of this set of customers that like the Carpe Diem roast. So we know that 75 of them also checked that they liked the midnight roast, which is why that's in region 2. So we subtract from the total number of respondents that liked the Carpe Diem roast, we subtract from that the number of customers that said they liked both, because they're counted in both regions. So that's going to be 142 minus 75, as we see here. So the result from that subtraction is 67. So that's the number of customers that responded that they liked only the Carpe Diem roast. Similarly, we move on to region 3, which is worked very similar to how region 1 is worked. We know that of the 257 customers surveyed, 163 said they liked the midnight roast. Well, we already know 75 of them liked the midnight roast because they liked both roasts. So we want to know how many liked the midnight roast that did not like the Carpe Diem roast. And that's what corresponds to region 3 here. So we take the total number of those that like the midnight roast, which was 163, and then we subtract region 2, the cardinality of region 2, which was 75. So 163 minus 75 yields 88. So that's the number of respondents that liked only the midnight roast. Finally, we want to complete our Venn diagram by finding how many customers responded that didn't like any of the roasts, right? That's what region 4 corresponds to. Those that didn't like either the Carpe Diem roast, didn't like the midnight roast, but they still answered the survey. Well, we know that there's 257 total customers that answered the survey. 67 are in region 1, 75 in region 2, and 88 are in region 3. So we subtract all 3 of these from the cardinality of the universal set, which is the 257 customers, to yield the leftover customers that didn't like either of the 2 roasts. So 257 minus 67 from region 1, minus 75 from region 2, minus 88 from region 3, and we get 27. And that's the cardinality of region 4. Now as a check, I urge you to add 67 plus 75 plus 88 plus 27, and in fact that should give you 257, the cardinality of our universal set. All right, so moving on to the questions. So question 1 was, of the customers surveyed, how many did not like either of the 2 roasts? Well, the customers that didn't like either of the 2 roasts, as we already actually talked about, corresponds to region 4. So that's the number of customers that didn't like either roast, either the Carpe Diem or the midnight roast. And so that answer is 27, as we see shaded here in our beige color shading. Okay, and that's it. Question 2 was, how many liked the Carpe Diem roast but not the midnight roast? Well, in fact, that's what we already found. This is asking for region 1, right? Region 1 are those customers that like the Carpe Diem roast but not the midnight roast. Okay? And so we already have that shaded here. Region 1 has a cardinality of 67. So there were 67 customers who liked the Carpe Diem roast but did not like the midnight roast. Question 3 asks a similar question. How many like the midnight roast but not the Carpe Diem roast? Well, now we're asking for region 3 here, right? So the region 3 is those who like the midnight roast but not the Carpe Diem roast. So as we see shaded here, the cardinality of that is 88. So there were 88 customers who liked the midnight roast but did not like the Carpe Diem roast. Now, how many liked either of the 2 roasts? Okay, now be careful with the wording here, right? So this might help to be rephrased. So we can rephrase the question as how many like the Carpe Diem or the midnight roasts, right? That's really either or, meaning they like either the Carpe Diem or the midnight roast. See the key word in there? Or. We know that corresponds to the union. So this is really asking for what is the cardinality of the union of those that like Carpe Diem or midnight roasts. So that's going to be regions 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we add up, as we see shaded here, the cardinalities of 1, 2, and 3, 67 plus 75 plus 88, and we get 230. So of the total number of customers that were surveyed, 230 of them liked either of the 2 roasts. Thanks for watching. Please be sure to subscribe and leave any comments or suggestions below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified of future videos. And as always, have a wonderful math build day.